has been approved. He gave an update on government's efforts to combat the growing number of food poisoning incidents. Meanwhile, schools in Gauteng have been instructed to suspend the sale of food in and around their premises as poisoning cases have increased. For some reaction to these interventions, let's speak now to the CEO of the Black Business Council, Kganki Matabane. Mr. Matabane, good to have you, and thank you for coming on this afternoon. Are you satisfied, first and foremost, by the reaction from government to what others are saying? Seemingly, one is a failure to regulate traders and vendors. Two is a failure to monitor compliance with verification of food items. But three is a failure of inspection at large.
Thank you very much, Thabo, and thank you very much for having us, and good afternoon to the Newzroom Afrika listeners and audience. So this matter is a bit complicated, and so we are in favor of the actions taken so far, but I think the matter is a bit more complicated. We did have an engagement with the Minister of Small Business. We will be having a meeting with the Minister of Health so that we can find a holistic way of doing this and of dealing with this matter, because you and I will know we've been calling for government to regulate the industry, but also to monitor and just by saying you are closing the spaza shops, I think it's a knee-jerk reaction, especially because we know that the government does not have capacity to follow through. So our worry is that we will close now, and by the end of next month, when we're supposed to have done something, nothing's going to be done. The schools are going to reopen, and the small businesses who are basically from hand to mouth are still going to be in the limbo, because I don't think government will have done anything even when the schools reopen. So I think government needs to find a way of saying, how do we, in the 2 months that we've given the people who are selling in the tuck shops and in the schools or closer to the schools, in the 2 months, how do you make sure that at least we will have vetted all of them, so that by the time the schools reopens, we know this one is fine, this one is not fine. But also the other important thing I think that they are missing is that also targeting the end users of the items, people who are basically just selling. It's not necessarily going deep down, so deep into the issues, because you have to check where are these people getting these goods, and then that's where the focus should be. Because if you don't deal with this at the manufacturer or the wholesaler point of view, you are not necessarily solving the problem, because those people can just redirect those goods to another place, and you're going to have a challenge again where people are going to get poisoned. So we need to work together with government. We need to work together with the businesses involved to find a lasting solution. But I think government has failed South Africans by not making sure that they regulate the industry very, very, very well.
Yeah. What is your motivation for the regulation of this particular sector, which otherwise, I mean, pretty much like the taxi industry would have been, it's not really informal, but there are particular requirements, for example, health and safety requirements, where food is prepared and so on and so forth, that should be inspected. But overall, it's almost left to itself.
Yes, for example, if you go to the agricultural sector, because it's almost related, if you plant maybe just to give you an example, if you plant oranges, there must be an audit trail to track where the first orange came from. So if something happens, maybe you import this or you export this into China, and then it has an issue in China, they will be able to track it down to the tree where it came from. And that's basically what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
Let's regulate this so that you can be able to trace this food from where they originated from. because that's where you need to deal with the problem. Because if you try to deal with the problem at the end where people are selling, you are not going to permanently deal with the issue. So that's basically what we are saying. Let's regulate it and make sure that those who are supplying the spaza shops are the ones who are monitored. Because if the suppliers are supplying expired goods, what do you expect the spaza shop to do? Because they don't even have capacity to check whether these goods have expired or not.
So in simple terms, you're saying if you up the raids, for example, you do more raids, yes, you'll discover more expired foods, but it's not going to remove those expired foods in the system, because you might remove them for that moment, go and burn them. The spazas are going to go and restock and still get the same food in.
Yes, we have to go to the ground, to the source where this problem is coming from. Once you only deal with the results, you're not going to solve it. Let's go to the source and solve it there. Once you deal with this thing from the suppliers, all these spaza shops are going to receive goods that are not expired, goods that are supposed to be consumed, and you'll have dealt with the problem. But dealing with it the way government is dealing with it, I think it's not going to solve the problem in the long run.
What are some of the complications? What gives rise to the complications at that verification stage of food items that are making it into the country? I mean, I hear others speaking of things like barcodes that are not in compliance with some of the products that are in the country that have been verified and are being distributed.
Yeah, I think it's just a simple monitoring and simple inspection. And we know, for example, just like it's happening in audit, you can't audit everything. You take a sample, but as long as people know that you are not even there to take samples, they will do as they wish. So it's important that we must basically go back and check all the manufacturers. I'm sure we know, government should know that the people who are supplying spaza shops, and let's go to the source, and we'll be able to deal with the problem.
Yeah, and I'm sure spaza shops are going to want to push back to this in some instances, because they say, well, we are black business people ourselves, we are trying here, and you want to make our lives a little bit more complicated. How do we respond to that?
Yeah, I think because this affects the health of residents, where we know that there are always going to be those challenges where you have to balance between the health of residents and the right of people to trade. But for me, I think the spaza shop will be able to absorb the pain in the meantime. But at least as long as they know the problem is going to be solved, we've got a solution that says in 2 months' time, your issues are going to be resolved. They will be able to bear with us. But if they know that you are going to drag your feet, and then 6 months pass and all those type of things, people are going to go illegal and start trading illegally. So it's important that government must make sure that as they close the spaza shops, they have enough capacity to regulate and then deal with the suppliers, so that in 1 or 2 months the issues are resolved, and then the spaza shops can resume trading, because people cannot suspend their trading forever. There must be like a deadline so that people can work on towards something. Otherwise, people will go illegal and start trading illegally.
So there is, of course, this question of subletting to foreign nationals, for lack of a better word to use in this particular instance. What is your view around how that aspect is being approached, right? One MMC here in the city of Johannesburg, for example, would have said all trading licenses should be cancelled and everybody must come and reapply afresh so that they can be vetted properly. Those who are landlords can then come and also report to say who are they subletting to, and those people be registered.
It is a good idea, but from a capacity point of view, I'm not sure if it's doable. Again, you don't want to start a process and then you can't finish it, and then everyone else then go back and say, no, let's do as we wish. As long as the city of Joburg or whichever city will have the capacity to say, give us 2 months. In these 2 months, we'll have vetted everyone, we'll have re-registered everyone. I think people will have the patience to wait. But we know, I think you and I know that there have been so many promises that never materialize. So we are not confident that that can be done. It's a good suggestion, but as long as it becomes, it remains a talk or it's going to remain a theoretical exercise, it's not going to take us anywhere. I think let's come up with something that can be doable, and we know within a certain time frame is done, so that people can continue with their lives and trade, so that they can feed their families.
Kganki Matabane, we appreciate your time. That is the CEO of the Black Business Council there to the announcement by the president on the promulgation of the proclamation on the regulation of spaza shops.